Listen to this episode if you want a full workshop on how you can use certain areas of your self-awareness as the biggest superpower in your business. Now, we're just not talking about emotional self-awareness or just you going throughout your day-to-day life. No, we're talking about self-awareness as a founder today. I have the privilege and the luxury to talk to founders at all stages, all day long, every week, all the time. And I absolutely adore having this conversation with them. And I wanted to bring it here because that's what the podcast is for. Every founder needs to hear this because I genuinely think one of the most important things you can know about yourself is you. Because I genuinely believe that one of the most important things you can know about your business while you're growing it is yourself. Because you are so much of your business, of the growth of your business, of what happens in your business. You know, I am a strategy girl through and through. I'm big tactics, big tangible strategies, frameworks, data, all of that. But what I also heavily believe in, because I have seen it work time and time again, is who you are as the founder has probably the biggest impact on the actual growth of your business. I have seen it over and over again, really great business ideas, but just because you have a great business idea doesn't necessarily mean you will be successful. You have to be a great founder alongside of it. And today we're going to talk about kind of a workshop of the things that you really need to know and the things you really need to be able to take to heart and be able to look at with very honest front. These aren't strengths and weaknesses of who you are as a person. This isn't a positive and a negative. It is allowing you to kind of hold a mirror up to yourself and say, where do I need support? And what should I be spending my time on? This conversation changes how you hire, how you schedule your time, what the tasks you are doing, what becomes your bottleneck, and even truly just how fast your business grows in general. So today we're going to talk about what some of these areas of self-awareness need to be. And then at the end, we're going to do a quick little rapid fire guided question. So you will leave with some actionable strategies and changes that you need to make in how you're spending your day on the weekly basis for you to be able to actually be a better founder and actually be able to move the needle a little bit faster. Before we do that, I just want to take 10 quick seconds to say hello. My name is Madison Page. I'm the host of the Business Growth Podcast. I'm a business growth specialist and I teach product-based business owners how to become category leaders in their industry. This conversation is a really important one because every founder thinks that they need to be good at everything. Every founder thinks that they need to be doing everything. People tell me all the time, Maddie, everything on my list is important. Everything on my list is urgent. I need to do everything on my list right now. And it honestly just isn't the case. As people, you can't expect yourself to be just as good as everything else that's on your list. Yes, we do need to be a little bit of a jack of all trades as a business owner because we do bounce between accounting and creative and strategy and marketing and product development in 1 week. But it's on you to be able to identify as you scale where you really should be living. In the beginning, you kind of do have to do everything. So we create this mindset that is how it has to be into the future. Eventually, there does come a point where your business can't grow if you're treating everything equally, if you're saying everything is just as important for me to do as everything else. And some things are going to naturally be in your lane and some things are not. Some things you're not going to be good at. I want you to think right now, if you had to tell me what your 3 to 5 biggest strengths are in your business or just in life, where do you love to spend your time and what do you feel like you're actually really good at? What are those things? And what do you say is your biggest weakness? Where are you not very good at those things? That's what we're going to be talking about today. And how do you really allocate those pieces? Some founders are just naturally incredible visionaries. Some people are really great marketers. Some people are really great at creative. Some people are really very operational and strategic and organized. Some people love a spreadsheet. Some people you couldn't pay to sit in a spreadsheet for more than 10 minutes. None of these are better than the other. What you have to be able to do is say, here's the full scope of my business, of how to operate a business. This is what is necessary. We have to be able to optimize where your zone of genius is because you are going to work better in your zone of genius. Where does your brain naturally go? What gives you energy? What part of the business makes you feel excited instead of drained? When I was running a team of 70 plus at my family's company growing up, one of the first questions I would ask them upon their entry interview was, what are you really good at? What do you love to do? Halfway through the season, I would meet up with them and I would say, hey, what do you really enjoy? What's your favorite position? Because they would all be doing a bunch of different things. We had 9 different activities. People were guiding a bunch of different activities. And I wanted to know, as the person that created this schedule, that put them into places that gave them different tasks, what did they naturally really love to do? Because I want my team to also be in their strengths, because they're going to be better. They're going to be happier. They're going to be more productive, and they're going to be more effective in that role. It's the same thing as a founder. I ask myself this all the time. What am I really good at? What are the things that I actually really enjoy doing in business? And where do I actually just excel? Because I am going to do those things better. I am going to get better outcomes when I spend more time in those areas. And then I think people get really weird about their weaknesses. I don't know why we take weaknesses to heart. Of course, you're going to have weaknesses. Of course, if you're a heavily creative person, the strategy stuff probably isn't going to make sense for you. Of course, if you're heavily strategic, you're not going to be a great graphic designer off the jump. It's just how brains and people work. If we all were the exact same, or we all could do everything, the world would be a boring place. But your weaknesses are actually so much of the information piece that we really have to look at here. They tell you where your support is needed, where systems are absolutely essential, where you need to hire first, or where you maybe need to grow as a leader until you can hire. A lot of times I have these conversations with founders and I say, hey, this is something that we need to work on with your business. And they say, well, I'm not very good at that. I don't care if you're not very good at it. There's something to say, if you can't hire it out, you also have to learn it. So if you say, I'm just not very good at the graphic design stuff, that's okay. But if you can't hire a graphic designer, you have to learn how to create better graphics. You have to learn what the tools are. There's so many tools out there now that you don't have to be good at everything, but you do have to be able to identify the tools, the softwares, the AI, whatever it is, to try to get some of those strengths out of it. You can be a much better graphic designer now naturally than you ever have been, because we have tools like AI that can kind of give you templates or give you a starting point out there for you to kind of start that way. And so what we look at here is there's a big difference between you saying, sorry, that's naturally not my strength, and you saying, I'm not going to learn that. I challenge my clients all the time when they say, yeah, I'm just not very good at that. And I said, okay, have you watched any YouTube videos on it? They're like, no. Have you, spent any time on ChatGPT trying to explain it to you? No. Okay. Information is so readily available right now. There's really no excuse. Also, if you have cash flow, that's going to be my first inclination. If you're like, hey, I'm not very good at marketing. Okay, can we hire it out to somebody else? If the answer to that is no, then we say, okay, now how can we get better at marketing in-house? What is the information that you need in order to help get you there? There are some things as founders that you will need basic competency in that you'd never thought you would need. I'm not saying that as a founder, we should be doing everything that we love to do all the time, because there are times you need to work on your business. You need to do things that you don't want to do, but we need to put them in buckets. So I have time every month. I talk to my accountant, or I am sitting down and looking at my numbers, like my financial numbers. I don't love doing that. I'm a numbers girl, but I don't like looking at my own finances and my budgets and whatever in my business, doing my taxes. All of that kind of stuff is not fun. I hate the bureaucracy of all of that. That stuff is not very fun for me. My brain likes to strategize. It likes to be the builder. I like to build different systems. And every time I go in those buckets, I'm like, there's got to be a better process here. We're talking QuickBooks. This is insane. There's got to be a better system for this, because I just want to build it out. I don't want to actually physically do it. But I have to. And what I did is I sit down and I work on YouTube and I look at ChatGPT to be able to do the basics that I have to do there. You may not love numbers, but you still need visibility into your numbers to be able to be a good founder. You might not love the operation side, but you still need enough of an understanding to lead well. You might not like the aesthetic side, but you still need to understand aesthetics to be able to make good decisions and to create quality content. I think one of the biggest bottlenecks in businesses is that founders are spending too much time on these low value or low alignment tasks that you're kind of a burnt out business owner. This is where it starts to become I'm just doing everything. You lose creativity, momentum, energy. If your greatest strength is strategy and vision, but all day long you're stuck doing admin tasks, eventually the founder is going to feel disconnected from their business if it is something that you don't really enjoy doing. I ask you right now to think about how you spend your time in your business right now. Is it primarily in those zone of genius tasks that we're doing? When we look at your zone of genius as a business owner, where are the things that you think you do really, really well? It is imperative for you to know your own strengths and weaknesses. I don't think of my weaknesses as like a personal attack. I think of it as just information that I need to hire someone there, that I need to spend more time on it, or that I need to learn something. I love certain things and I'm not very good at some other things, and that's totally okay. I will tell you all day long, I'm not very good at being a creative designer. I've gotten much better. If you scroll back on my Instagram for long enough, you'll see some designs from 2019 that were pretty hideous when I designed my first brand and I had some of my first graphics out there. They weren't great. They weren't good at all. They were neon stinking yellow. And if you know me, I'm a neutral gal, but I had this neon yellow. My social media management company was This Is Hive. And so it was Hive social media, and there was all these bees everywhere. And it just truly didn't make any sense. I was not an aesthetic, creative driven person. I'm a strategy brain. I'm a data brain. I'm a builder. I'll tell you exactly what to do. I'm not like a pretty designer. I wish I was, right? And over time, though, back then I would have said, sorry, I'm never going to be good at it. Now I can say, you know what? I can actually do this decently well. This is something that I might not love to do, but it is still something that I can do. And I've gotten better at it because I took classes. I analyzed the good and the bad. I looked at what are some of these things that, what are some areas that I can improve? And I've gotten better at it. I also have people that help me with some of it now if it's just something that I don't want to have to do. Hey, I've been getting some DMs that you may not know what I do outside of hosting this podcast. I actually work with product-based business owners every single day to help them grow and scale their brand. If you really want my eyes one-on-one inside of your business to look at your strategy, to look at your funnels, to look at your data, and to develop your next campaign or bring your business or your idea to life, that is exactly what I do every single day. I've worked with 500 plus businesses across 70 different industries to help them become the next household name in their industry. If you are craving a business brain, a strategic advisor, a data-centered, obsessed person to come into your business and help you bring your idea to life, I'm your gal. Come on over to my Instagram at This Is Madison page, DM me support. Otherwise, you can click the link in the show notes to apply today. Okay, back to the episode. So when we're really looking at this, one of the biggest questions that you can ask yourself as a business owner, trying to look at your own self-awareness, is what are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? And then we need to analyze it based on the calendar that you are currently operating out of. When we look at your calendar, how much time are you spending in your strengths and how much time are you spending in your weaknesses? Because if you're spending all of your time in your weaknesses just because you have to do some of those things, of course you're burnt out. Of course you're frustrated. Of course you're not feeling creative in your business. Now, if you have to do some of those tasks, it might be something that we either need to put into buckets and prioritize some of those areas that do fulfill you, because there's business tasks that fulfill you too. I mean, I talk about going and having hobbies and doing things outside of business all the time, but you can fulfill yourself in business as well. You can become unfulfilled in business as well if you deprive yourself of the things that you actually really like. This also tells you who to hire, because if you do have the capacity to hire people, even if it's an assistant for $15 an hour to do some of these admin tasks that you don't really like to do, to get that stuff off of your plate, even if it's a nanny to come in for 3 to 4 hours a week to just give you uninterrupted time in your business, those are dollars well spent, so you can be spending the time working on your business or working on the things that you really enjoy doing. Your weaknesses usually tell you who your first hires are. This is another mistake that people make, is that they hire people that are similar to them and not polar opposites to them first. You should be hiring, if you are a creative at heart and you love the creative side and you like the design and all of that, that's great. You should be hiring a strategy, operational, tangible, data-driven person. If you are tangible, data-driven, you need a creative marketer, right, to come in and to help you with those things. Visionary founders need operational support. Analytical founders need brand and marketing support. Creatives need structure. Operators need visibility and connection support, right? You should be hiring out the yin to your yang. And the greatest list to be able to identify where those are is on your list of weaknesses. If we look at your weaknesses right now, what's the position that you could hire for that? Okay, if you're not good at accounting, that's why I have an accountant that does 99.99% of my accounting. I don't want to do all of it, but there's some things that I do have to do. I don't like doing some of the podcast development, right? I can't sit and edit an hours long podcast every single week. So I have somebody that does that for me because it's just not something that I feel like I can spend my time in or that I really enjoyed. The goal is to not become amazing at everything. The goal is to understand yourself well enough to build the proper support around you to make you all one team that understands everything. You're trying to build a team to fill in your gaps. And so when we're really talking about this, I want to ask you some quick guided reflective questions. And if you have a piece of paper in front of you, if you're not driving, it's a good time to kind of look at these, but you can also just answer them in your head quick. What parts of your business naturally give you energy? What do you enjoy the most? What do you finish at the end of the day after doing it being like, yeah, that was good. That was fun. That was what I should have been doing. I just wish I could do that all the time. What are those things? And then the opposite of that, what parts of your business consistently drain you that after it, you're like, oh my gosh, I never want to do that again. I have a lot of things like that are like, again, it's like all of the bureaucratic of the LLCs and all of that kind of stuff. Not good at it. Don't want to do it. What are you naturally really good at? Because what you enjoy and what you're good at can be two different things, but we want to optimize for both. They can be the same things, but what gives you energy and what you're good at can be two different things. You should be in both of those buckets, but that is really an important distinction, is because I'm naturally good at talking on camera and connecting with people. I'm naturally good at teaching and being in front of people all the time. But recording podcasts doesn't always give me energy. It actually is very draining. I enjoy it a lot and I'm good at it and I love my podcast, but it's a lot, right? It's me sitting to a camera, I'm mapping out a conversation and I'm talking in a room by myself for an hour, right? And so it is one of those things that I do both of those things. Of course, there's always going to be things I couldn't have somebody else on my podcast. It wouldn't make sense and I wouldn't want to do it. I enjoy talking to people. I enjoy connecting with people. I'm good at it, but it does drain me sometimes. But they are things, A, that I have to do, and B, I know is a superpower of mine. So you know what I do, even though it drains me, I create systems around it. Some people will say that they'll just do one a week then. They'll film one episode a week to kind of space them out. What I do is I pick one day a month and I record 8 episodes for the entire month so I can rebuild my podcasting energy by the next month. I build systems around the things that drain me and I figured out what works for me. It works for me to have one high energy day that I'm cranking them all out and I'm going to record all of them. I'm going to feel really good at the end of the day. I'm going to say, great, now I don't have to record anything for a month for me to build back that energy and do it again. And I enjoy it. I look forward to my full podcast recording days. It's just so much energy. It's so much conversation, so much educating. But if I had to do it every day, it would drain me, right? So what parts of your business naturally give you energy? What parts of your business consistently drain you? What are you naturally really good at? And what do you avoid over and over and over again that you know you should be doing? What is that list of things that has been on your list for about 6 weeks that you know you should be doing, but you're avoiding it? Because there's a lot of really good answers there. Where do you feel like you yourself create the bottlenecks in your business? Because very often we can identify our bottleneck is because, I have no idea how to market something. Or my bottleneck is, I just can't create the marketing that looks the way that it should. Or I just have no idea how to actually sell, or I don't know my numbers at all. That also tells us, can we hire somebody there? Can we build a system around how we can make this easier on ourselves? Next one is what role am I trying to force myself into because I think I need to be good at it? A lot of times I see this being a strategy person. If you aren't learning strategy and really gung-ho about your objectives of your business, it's going to be really hard to make yourself into a strategy person. It really is a way that your brain works, how your brain works. Are you a strategy organized individual? My brain is so strategic. It's crazy. Someone's talking to me at a coffee shop and I'm already strategizing exactly how they can operate and exactly that goal that they want. And I actually have to tell myself, maybe people don't always want my strategy, but my brain is super strategic. And I feel like I should be good at the creative side. but I'm not always. I'm not very good at the design and all of that. So I've had people help me with it, right? When we look at your calendar right now, what is the percentage of your calendar that you are spending on your highest value work that is in your zone of genius that you need to do? And how much of your calendar, in a percentage wise, are you spending working on your business? Not in your business, not on production, not on fulfillment, not on shipping orders, not on ordering supplies or anything like that. Actually working on your business, growth objectives, relationships, creating really high quality content. Those are the things that are growing your business. How much of that time? Because when we start to look at this, oftentimes many founders are actually spending their time on low value tasks because it's like productive procrastination. They think that they're doing something really great, but they're just responding to emails, and then they poke around their website a little bit. They might adjust their homepage. They're redoing their Instagram bio for the 17th time. Those things are just busy work to try to get you to avoid the things that you really should be doing. And then where can I hire someone to stay in my zone of genius right now? Even if it's for 3 hours, even if it's somebody that comes in once a week to produce your product or to fulfill orders or to do little things that just allow for those 3 hours back on your calendar. Because we're all busy. We all have a million things to do on our plate. There is always going to be literally 1,000 endless things to do on your plate. You as the founder have to be able to identify how are you utilizing that time and where can we really audit that calendar. So I want you to look at this and I want you to say, what am I actually tangibly going to change this week? Is it where you're spending your time? Is it something that you're going to do that you haven't done in a while, but it really gives you a lot of joy and satisfaction in your business? Is it hiring somebody? Is this a sign that you needed to actually hire that virtual assistant or that high schooler down the road that can help you produce your product? What is this the sign for you to do? And what are you going to change in order for you to spend more time in your strengths and your revenue generating activities? Now, if you're sitting here and you're saying, Maddie, I'm a creative. I love to create my products. I like doing the shipping of the orders, or, I really like the creative side of my business. You do need someone to build the business. There will always be a need for somebody to be working on the business and to grow the business. And so if you are the person right now saying, Maddie, I really love to do the creative and to do product development and to really be in the working in the business tasks, that's okay. But that's not necessarily the role of a CEO inside of a company. Only 10 to 30% of product-based business owner founders are actually the CEO of their company, because many founders are creatives, they're innovators, they're visionaries. That's totally okay. But somebody needs to be in charge of the growth of your business. Otherwise, your business isn't going to grow. If it's not you, you do need to hire it out. You need to have somebody heading up the operations, heading up the objectives, heading up what are those things that we are doing. Or you need to time block, time out. At least one day a week, a full day a week, you should be working just on growing the business. So if you can't hire it out to have somebody kind of be the operator and help you with your growth activities, because that's not your zone of genius and it's not something that you're willing to really learn how to do, that's okay. But somebody needs to be in that role, because your business will not grow itself unless you have somebody that is a strategic operator that is there even to just advise of what needs to be done next. That's the role. Is I always say the best business owners have a creative and a strategy person symbiotically working together, because one person can make it pretty, one person can perfect why it's necessary in the business. I genuinely think self-awareness is one of the most underrated skills as an entrepreneur and a person in general. Like, having actual self-awareness for your own emotions is one thing. This is self-awareness of your strengths and your weaknesses. Because when you understand yourself better, you lead better, you hire better, you market better, you make better decisions, and your business grows faster because you know how to prioritize your time. What are your revenue generating activities? What are your highest value tasks that really are in your zone of genius? What do you need to hire out, and where do you need to learn? And I think that's a really big piece here, is understanding that if you don't have the money to hire it out and you know that you have to do it, then you have to learn how to do it, or put a system around it, or put a way to make it work for you. Because there are certain things in business that you can't just say, ooh, that's not really me. I'm not really a numbers person. You can't not have somebody looking at your financials. It's just not going to allow for a successful, profitable business or good decision making if you don't know your profit margin year over year. If you don't know your profit margin per product, somebody in your operation needs to be looking at those things. And if you don't have anybody else in your operation doing that, it needs to be you. Or you need to find somebody that you can have in your business. Honestly, I have plenty of people that hire me for strategic advisory to be that strategy person in their business because they aren't. You just need somebody in that role. And I can say that not as a sales pitch. I say that because I see that it's necessary all the time. I work with primarily very creative individuals because they want my data, my strategy, my objectives brain. That's great. If I had people that were good at the same things that I am good at, having me come into their business, we wouldn't align as much as I do with my clients because we have very similar skills and very similar strengths. The best founders are usually not the ones who try to do everything. They're the ones who understand where they create the most impact and make changes in the areas that are their biggest weakness. So I ask you today, go through this process. What are you changing based on your strengths and your weaknesses? How can we adjust your calendar? How can we put 3 hours of working on your business in your calendar next week so you will not forget about it? And one of the most important things is every business owner needs a calendar, and you need to be able to stick to it because it's not enough just to have it out there and to have all the time blocks if you aren't actually staying true to the calendar. And I know many of you are moms. Some of you guys even have 9-to-5s as well as a business. If you are managing a ton of things on your plate, even if you're not, you need to have a calendar as a business owner. You need to understand what are these blocks that I am working on different things. You will be more productive. You will get more done, and you will actually be able to grow your business faster. I hope this was a good conversation for you. Kind of a quick hit of looking at your strengths, looking at your weaknesses, but understand you as the founder have so much weight on the actual growth of your business. What are you willing to do? What growth are you willing to have? And who are you willing to step into? And what changes are you willing to make in order to make this business successful for you? I hope this was helpful. I love you. I'm rooting for you. I'm in your corner always, and I will see you in the next episode. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Business Growth Podcast. We put out new episodes every Tuesday and Friday. So if you love this one, make sure that you're subscribed so you never miss a conversation. If you want more conversations with me and other business owners, make sure that you join our completely free podcast community, the Founders Cafe. The link is in the show notes. You can get bonus resources, access to free coaching calls, as well as connect with like-minded business owners like yourself. Make sure that you rate and review the podcast 5 stars, share it with a friend to keep those conversations moving, and come back every Tuesday and Friday. I'll see you there.